here's something that I don't know why this has been coming up in conversation for me seemingly quite regularly recently on the road with multiple people. Uh, and I think you actually know a ton about this. And it's really quite a important topic. It's not necessarily about Plunge audio IEMs. It's just about IEMs generally speaking. And that is the importance of wearing both IEMs when you're performing on stage.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously for me, when I'm on stage, it's a no-brainer because that's what sounds best and is the most usable. As soon as I take one out, I'm missing half the detail, especially because I want my, things panned in a certain direction. So everything on the right side, if I pull the right ear, well, that'd be ridiculous to pull it out. So it doesn't make sense to me, but I see it happen all the time. And so for me, I'm like, I get it. I get that people want to feel connected to the room. And so maybe we can talk about that and kind of quick tips for bringing in more of the environment and the atmosphere around you. But for now, like, what are the dangers in not wearing both IEMs?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost would be the safety aspect. Like, you're never going to know how loud you're turning up the side that's still in your head to compensate for all the room noise and stuff on the side that doesn't have an IEM in it. So, like, basically, if you're wearing one ear and one ear is open, you're going to turn up your pack or whatever it is that's driving that in-ear way louder than you ever think you, are. Like, the craziest thing is if you, do your sound check, leave it in, and then walk over to your dressing room and take a listen to your mix, have the band player or whatever without being in the room on stage with them, and you'll realize how loud you're driving that in-ear into your ear. Because for some reason, your brain just can't process how loud it is when you're on stage and you have that room noise going on around you. So I don't think people realize how loud they have their packs when they're wearing one ear. So you're damaging the side that has the in-ear in it, and then you're also not protecting the side that doesn't have an in-ear in it. By having both ears in, you're automatically going to it's like having earplugs in and then you're turning up some headphones. So you're protecting yourself from what is happening in the room, which if you were just a patron at one of these events, I imagine a lot of them wear earplugs nowadays because loops and stuff like that are way more accessible. People are into it. My Stampede gig every year is an EDM festival, and I always think it's super funny that we turn up EDM music so loud because I'd say 50% to 60% of the people there are wearing earplugs. But they want to feel the bass response, whatever, sure, I get it, but it is kind of funny that we do that, and I think it's more common now. And you would go to an event, you would wear earplugs, and so in-ears are doing that job for you on stage first of all, and then they become your monitoring solution. So that's the first thing, is that by wearing one ear and not wearing one in the other ear, you don't realize how loud you're turning up your pack and that headphone amp. It's super loud, it hurts, you just don't know it yet. And then I think your ears, and I'm not a doctor, but I feel like your ears have almost a protection circuit built in, where when you have a super loud sound, if something like bass amp explodes next to you or something like that, you can feel that initial kind of compression applied to your ears to hopefully protect yourself. I'm not sure what it is anatomy wise, but I find that it doesn't work as well when you have two completely different things happening on either side of your ears. I feel like that protection circuit wants to work in stereo. And so I think there's actually a great, there's a podcast called Talking Ears, I think. I'll check on my phone in a second here. And they are audiologists that are focused on musicians, and they talk a lot about this.
Okay.
So they do a great job of kind of approaching musicians and engineers, but actually mainly speaking at audiology conferences on what we do with in-ears and what musicians need out of audiologists. And so that would be a cool resource to plug and check out.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then also there's the mix aspect where you're essentially making yourself a mono mix in one ear. So you're going to lose all the bass response that comes from that seal we talk about with the in-ears. Well, you take one out now, you're not going to get the bass response if you're not sealing your head. You'll get it on one ear, but it's just not the same. You're now down to a mono mix. So trying to stuff all the information you can in that one ear is every move becomes way more difficult when you want more of this, less that, because you don't have as much room to work with in the stereo image. So you're playing a lot more with EQ and stuff like that to try and make that room. And you're really just like, it's kind of a losing game, I find. So I'd say those are like the two main, like the safety aspect and then like the mix aspect.
And with all your experience working with so many different artists, do you find that the reason people are pulling an ear out is because of how it affects the way they hear their own voice, or is it because of how it affects their interaction within the space and the audience?
I think it's both, and probably like each of those things for different people. I think the bone conduction side of things with having like, especially like with customs, having like that 3D resin really hard in ear in both ears, like probably there's an aspect of that where it just doesn't like sound like their voice and it's kind of like plugging your ears. Especially when you start factoring in like latency, plugins, and all these sorts of things, like it probably gets a little bit weird. Not a singer, but I have sung into enough microphones without anyone else hearing me to know kind of like that. Yeah, I get that it feels kind of weird, and that would be where you want to work with your monitor engineer on that aspect of it. And then yeah, the other side of it would be, I think, that disconnection from the room and the audience and kind of what's happening around you, where like you might feel. It feels like you're super isolated, I guess.
So we'll put the audience thing to the side then for now. What are the remedies for when people's self-perception of their own voice does come across as weird and unnatural?
I think like good use of like high pass filters and EQ, good use of stereo space, moving stuff out of the way of your vocal so you can kind of make your vocal sound correct to you without having to carve it up to make room for other stuff. There's some kind of fun like mix techniques that I know some guys are using where they're like doing like a mono vocal and then like a stereo detuned vocal thing to kind of like take it out from the center of your head a little bit. So there's little techniques like that are just like a little more involved, and you need like the right console to do that. Like you might not get away with that on an X32. You can, but it might be a little bit more involved than a lot of people are willing to do. Like mic choice and how you like because that is another part of it where if you're on a microphone that doesn't work for the way you sing and the way you hold the mic like that, you might feel like you've lost your voice a lot sooner, or it's too much like proximity and low end based on that. So you could play around with that. But yeah, I would say like good effective use of EQ and good effective use of stereo image in your mix.
Okay.
Would probably be like the first two things to tackle. I don't know if your experience is different with.
Like I do sing on stage, but I'm not.
Your voice is also quiet in your mix. Surprisingly,
it is quiet in my mix,
yeah.
And so I don't feel like I'm particularly subjected to the same things that like a lead vocalist would do when I'm up there singing background vocals. I actually find in-ears to be quite helpful because of the occlusion effect.
Yeah.
I'm able to keep my voice lower in my actual mix because I'm hearing so much of myself.
So you're using that
to
your advantage.
So I'm kind of weaponizing that.
Yeah, cool.
But I'm also not, because of the role I'm playing, I'm not going to be super picky or particular about how my voice sounds in my own head, because to me, I'm just kind of getting the job done. It's not about like getting lost in the performance and hearing the best version of myself to inspire myself because of myself. Like that's not really the game that I'm playing.
Yeah.
So my experience with singing with in-ears has been easy, but that's just because like the bar is set so low for what I actually need out of my in-ears when it comes to my own voice.
Right.
That said, the mic thing is interesting because we did switch mics in the one band that I tour with. I don't remember what they're called. It's a newer Shure product. Yeah, the Nexodyne. Right out of the gate, that's the first time I've been like, okay, I really notice a difference with this and I like it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
If I had to revert back, that's fine. But I actually really do prefer that. And it does make a difference. So that was my kind of first experience being like, you know what, it is kind of nice to have something that works well with my voice. Yeah. But that's an interesting variable that I don't think is thought enough about, where a voice doesn't sound good in my head. You know, these in-ears aren't working for me. Yeah. Well, there might be a number of variables, down the chain that need to be addressed as well
Mhm.
to ensure that you kind of get everything you need out of your own voice. And one of them is the microphone.
Yeah.
And I think
If you find yourself cupping the mic and it sounds better even subconsciously in your ears, then it might be time to try a different mic capsule. Because I think a lot of the time people are doing that because it gives that proximity effect and like sounds louder or more like in your face, but there's downsides to doing it. So that would be an indication that maybe it's time to try something different.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything to add on?
Or just a general rule of thumb: when you take one ear out from, I'm not an audiologist, but from audiological perspective, the perceived volume in the other ear is half.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
So if you take one side out
Then you have to double them all.
and you're monitoring at 90,
Yeah.
your perceived volume is now 45.
Oh man.
That's
45.
Yeah.
Half.
It's half the volume. So if you want to hear how you were hearing on one side, you're going to double the
Mm-hmm.
level on that one side, and it will feel like that's normal.
I feel like from an editing
Perceive it.
perspective, I don't think it would be 45. Like it would be 6 dB or 10 dB down. It's logarithmic, right?
Logarithmic.
Yeah. Half would be, like you'd go from, if you think you're listening at 90, half would be the equivalent of like 82 to 84, I think, would be half.
Yeah, I mean-
half in SPL, yeah.
We're talking perceived.
Yeah.
I'm not talking linearly. And even though I said if it's 90 at 45,
Mm-hmm.
your perceived volume is half.
I see.
Your perceived
Right.
volume is exponential, right? With every 3 dB that goes up.
Well, it's still logarithmic because it would be voltage. So it wouldn't be 45.
No, I'm not saying it's 45.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Just the perception.
Yeah.
Is the
I
perception.
know
Perception
every
is
sound
half.
guy that watches this is going to be like, whoa.
Yeah,
It's fine.
No, it's fine. But I like that it is half. That totally makes sense. Yeah. That's
And that's no matter how you slice it and what the math is,
Yeah.
that's dangerous
because
you are going to compensate it.
Yeah.
If it's perceived as half, whatever that is actually is in decibels, you're still going to try and compensate
Yeah.
to get it back to where it was.
Yeah.
And there is the danger.